It's the Daily Dispatch in discussion with Daron Mann.
It is the Daily Dispatch in discussion with Daron Mann today, and we're catching up with the MPL from Bishu, Bobby Stevenson. He's the Shadow MEC for Community Safety. Bobby, thanks for joining us. You put out a media release recently regarding the 10111 number. More than 100,000 calls gone unanswered in East London over the past 3 years. Surely that's not possible.
Well, that's the answer, the official answer I got from the MEC for Community Safety, and that information would have been supplied by SAPS, so it would be correct. And 107,000 calls in almost 3 years is it's an horrific number, because what that actually means is that people, when they phone the number looking for SAPS, looking for help in a time of crisis, the call gets dropped and they don't get through. It's really terrible that something like this is happening, because people only normally phone 10111 when there's a great crisis. For example, there could be someone trying to break into your home. Somebody could be trying to attack somebody. There could be a shooting in a street. And at a time like that, SAPS is your first call, port of call, in a time of danger. And once those calls answered,
Sure.
They need to be answered.
So these figures have come from the MEC, Kolila Nkata, MEC
Yes.
for Community Safety in the Bishu legislature. I'm just going to run through the numbers for each year. 2021, 47,517 dropped calls. 21-22, 44,600 dropped calls. And so far in the 22-23 year, almost 16,000 dropped calls. I'm trying to figure out, it's beyond my mathematical ability, how many per day that works out at.
Well, I'd have to use a calculator to work that out. But it's a sizable number, you know.
Sure. Wouldn't it be better if they just told you how many calls were answered? That might be easier.
Well, there are probably a lot more calls that were made than those that were dropped. But the problem seems to be that they don't have a UPS, an uninterrupted power supply, and it's been down since 2019. And that's really shocking. It cannot be that a major police call center cannot effectively operate because they don't have an uninterrupted power supply, and that impacts on the ability for the members there to answer the phones.
I'm going to go back to the MEC's comment. He says the UPS failing, as you pointed out, as well as load shedding and COVID fumigations have also had an impact. The public would love to know exactly why these 100,000 plus calls have not been answered. You've asked the questions. Anything else that's come out of the MEC's office?
Well, I think he's given a very frank answer, and one must respect SAPS and the MEC for telling it as it is. So the public at least now is informed as to why their calls are not being answered. But there are solutions to this, and that's what needs to be addressed. I mean, the first solution is to make sure that there is an uninterrupted power supply, because I know in Nelson Mandela Bay, they also have similar problems with their 10111 center. When the power goes down, it takes 45 minutes for the telephone system to reboot, because it's all computerized. So, getting an uninterrupted power supply should be a major priority for SAPS. That's the one thing that can be done. But in the interim, in BCM, they should look at exempting the 10111 center from load shedding. That would be a simple and easy solution. And the 10111 center in BCM is located just off Settlers Way, I think close to the IDZ and a big motor factory. So it shouldn't be too difficult to do. And that's an interim solution, something that can be implemented. And as far as Nelson Mandela Bay is concerned, I have written to the executive mayor to ask them to please look into exempting that centre in Nelson Mandela Bay. So those are two solutions that can be implemented. The other one is for the organogram to be reviewed. In the answer that I received, it said there's no staff shortage there. But I've got phone calls this morning to say that there is a staff shortage. And although there might be no staff shortage against the organogram, people are saying there aren't enough people to man the telephone. So that's something that also needs to be addressed. We can't allow people to be thrown to the wolves when there's a time of crisis. They need to have their calls answered and attended to. This is how we can combat this culture of lawlessness that's creeping up on us every day. This is how we can assure people that SAPS can keep them safe.
At the moment, as things stand, we cannot trust 10111 in the BCM area. Will we be able to do so in the future? Has a plan been activated yet?
I don't think a plan has been activated yet, but that's what I will be pushing for and raising this matter, again and again in the legislature as the opportunities arise. Because that's a place where the powers that be can really be confronted with the harsh reality of what is happening to people on the ground.
It really is frightening. The prospect of having a home invasion and you phone 10111 believing that the police are going to come to your rescue because that's what you've been told since you were at school, and then nothing at all.
Nothing at all. I'll give you a practical example of something that happened to my own daughter in this time in Nelson Mandela Bay, but the same principle occurs. About 3 weeks ago, she came across 3 people trying to break into a motor vehicle outside her flat. And because they had seen her, she went back into the flat and then phoned the 10111 centre. So there was no one she could call for help. And as a result, the people continued breaking into the vehicle.
Oh, that is frightening. Looking at the MEC statement, the last point I'd like to pick up on, talking about the flying squad that's linked to the East London 10111 centre, and they say the canine unit is severely understaffed and lacks vehicles. So just about on every front, there's going to be no cavalry coming to the rescue of a citizen in need.
Yeah, this is a major problem across the whole province. There is a shortage of vehicles. SAPS has got an aging fleet, and often these vehicles break down, so they might say they've got so many serviceable, but often or not, a lot of them are in the garage every day. So this is another issue that needs to be fixed, is having serviceable vehicles available for these very hard-working and dedicated members of SAPS who try their best to help the public in a time of crisis with limited resources.
Bobby, a final one. 10111 doesn't work at the moment. A resident, a citizen who is in need, what would your advice be to them as the shadow MEC?
My advice would be for them to phone their local police station directly.
We'll leave it there, Bobby. Thank you so much for joining us on the Daily Dispatch in discussion today. All the best, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was the Daily Dispatch in discussion with Daron Mann.